Today we're going to be talking about dissonance and explaining it in simple terms, because dissonance can get kind of crazy if you go too scientific, but we're going to keep things quite simple. So we're going to start off with things that are not very dissonant. Things which are not very dissonant are generally created of strong intervals. So in some of the previous lessons in this series, we would have talked about perfect fifths, major, minor thirds, and octaves. So just to give you some examples of those, here's what they sound like. So this is a perfect fifth, which is just a general power chord. Then you've got your minor thirds, major thirds, and of course octaves. Now they're very complete sounding chords, and what creates dissonance are sounds which don't sound so complete, that sound a bit weird and a bit off. So generally what we consider dissonant intervals are things like the flat 5. You've also got flat 9s. Sounds like that, a little bit weird, flat seconds as well. You know, they don't sound very complete, they sound incomplete and different and weird. You've got sharp 5s, but they're a bit more complete sounding, but you can make those kind of weird as well. Then you have major 7s as well. So those kind of intervals are generally considered to be dissonant intervals. They do not give a very complete sound, and they don't really give off very nice sounding things either. However, with lower tunings, you may find that some of these strong sounding intervals could sound a bit weird and grim and evil, like still with power chords. Still quite a complete sound, but things kind of change when it comes to major and minor thirds, because major thirds don't sound as geeky, let's say, as they would in the higher register. And with minor thirds, they sound a lot more bleak, these minor thirds in the lower tuning, as opposed to... So tuning can have an effect on dissonance, and if you take things like flat 5s, they can be made to sound extremely dissonant or quite tight. Now it comes onto the case of execution, because if you're playing dissonant intervals one by one, it sounds quite cool, it sounds really tight. Like for example, flat seconds. Sounds great, same with the flat 5s. And even in higher registers. So how can we build dissonance in a simple way? And the easiest way is chords. And by utilizing two strings or two notes at the same time as a minimum. Because you can take these grim sounds and play them as chords. And it gets a bit hate eternally if you're using tritones like those. And even flat seconds. And even if you arpeggiate the notes. You get all these really cool, weird sounds. With the flat seconds here. And then here. Get more portal influence as well. And it's the same kind of thing with all of these diminished chords as well. All these cool grim sounds, all these dissonant sounds as well. And another way to add dissonance quickly is to utilize open strings. Now with the guitar, it's kind of cool because we're able to play an open string plus another note as well as that. So if you take the 4th fret on B, for example, you've got the flat second, you've got that weird, crazy dissonant sound, and then it's the same thing with the lower strings as well. Now, of course, it's different for B, it's 3 and 5. But but then 4 and 6 on the other strings. Already weird, odd sounds. And just mess around with things like that. You can build your own chords with grim sounding intervals. For example, you can start off with your E minor add 9 chord. Now there's already some dissonance in this chord because we've got this flat second interval between two of the notes. But then if we bring our little finger down, we've got another mysterious sounding chord because we've got a flat 5 interval which is inside that chord shape. And then if you really want to, you can like bring your whole first finger up. You've got like a double tritone thing going on here. Or you can go back to your original chord shape and just move your whole first finger up. And you've already got more weird and crazy sounds. And you can of course just build up on chords this way, even include some of the open strings. Here I've got 2 stacks of tritones there, a flat second, and another flat second. And you can move that 2 frets up. And just mess around, you know, it doesn't have to be too obvious either. Like here, you've got your minor chord, and now with this lower note here, we're using a natural second interval. So those are some simple ways to build up some dissonance within your chords. And of course you can use these intervals to build up single note riffs. And you can of course mix those up with different chord shapes. And mess around like that. So that's a very, very simple explanation of ways of building dissonance. Use awkward intervals, flat seconds, natural seconds, flat 5s, flat 9s, sharp 5s. If you'd like to create these strange dissonant riffs, these intervals can help you out a lot.